Hey now, Brawlers, it's time for another Board Game Brawl review with Nick Minahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com.
Hey people, today we're going to take a look at Terra Formars, the card game from Japanime Games. This is a competitive card game based off of an anime that I've actually never even heard of, which is not actually that weird. As much as I like anime and you guys tease me about me liking anime, I've actually been out of it in a big way for a number of years. There's a few series like One Piece that I watch, and I don't know a lot of other things that have happened in the last 6 years of the hobby, so I've never heard of this before. But I read the backstory of it, which is that in the future we try to colonize Mars, and we do it with lichen and weird lichen moss things and cockroaches. Supposedly, the cockroaches will decompose, and the lichen, and then it'll make air. I don't know. Sounds like fishy science to me. But okay, it's fine. Humans do that, they leave, they come back, giant mutant cockroaches. Oh no. Oh no. Although that was pretty predictable, honestly. And then, so humans want to take Mars back from the giant human cockroaches, and they do so by making themselves into animal people. I think, Jupiter Ascending with the dude Channing Tatum with wolf ears. Hopefully not that bad, but I don't know. The anime kind of has bad reviews, so I'll probably never watch it. But that's what you're doing in this game. You are one of the heroes of the show with your own underlings and the human heroes, and you're trying to take back the planet from the cockroaches by defeating them and getting points via dice mechanism and card hand management aspects. Let me go ahead and give you a brief look at the game. Then we're going to come back. I'll let you know what I think. Dramatic.
Terra Formars is a competitive game for 2 to 4 players. The goal is to have the most victory points at the end of the game. The end of the game occurs when you can no longer replace one of the defeated cockroaches because the cockroach deck ran out. Every player gets a hero card, a plastic marker in their color, and the 2 character support cards that are indicated for that hero, which constitute the start of your hand. All the other support cards are shuffled, and 3 of them are placed face up as a buy row. The cockroach deck is also shuffled, and if you're playing with less than 4 players, you'll take some out at random without looking at them. The rest are placed within reach, and a row of cockroaches equal to the number of players are placed face up. Each player will take turns placing their marker on one of the empty cockroaches, and then whoever was designated to go first will grab the 6 combat dice in the game and take their turn. Turns are simple. You roll the dice, and you spend the icons on them. The green serum symbols and blue stars can be used to activate the special powers on your characters or to purchase more support cards from the row, as many as you can afford. Every hero has a special technique that can be activated with symbols, or a talent that is either always on, or that can be used automatically once per turn. The squad support cards are kept in hand and can be played when applicable. They have a variety of effects, like changing dice, or even attacking the other players and making them discard cards. The equipment support cards have similar effects, but these are immediately put face up next to your character and kept indefinitely until something forces you to discard them. They might have a persistent effect, a one-time effect, or a once-per-turn effect. When purchased, a support card is immediately replaced in the row from the deck. You may alternatively spend 3 serum symbols to roll the special die. The special die has a couple of faces that are really good, but it is risky in that it's likely you'll also roll the hazard symbol, which can activate the nasty abilities of the cockroaches. But it is an extra die for you to roll, and that can be important. The other symbol on the dice is the injury symbol. All of the injuries are dealt to the cockroach you're currently on by placing injury tokens. Cockroaches are the enemies of the game in the way that you're going to get victory points to eventually win the game, as well as other extra resources. Some of them have very nasty effects, either globally, like locking down the special die or preventing loot collection, and some just make it very difficult to kill them, or have abilities that only occur if you unwittingly rolled a hazard symbol. When you deal enough damage equal to their health, the cockroach is removed from play. Whoever dealt the final blow gets the victory points. All the other rewards for killing it, which is called the spoils, go to the other players who have their marker on the roach. The person who actually killed it does not get the spoils, only the points. A new cockroach takes its place, and you and the other players move to a different cockroach. And that's pretty much it. Keep going until the roach deck runs out and you can't replace an empty space. Whoever has the most victory points is the winner.
Well, it's really interesting. By playing this game, it warned me against ever trying the Terra Formars anime in the future, knowing that the theme is really dumb and stupid. And so I have to thank the game for that. However, in hindsight, it would have been better in reverse to have watched the anime and had to suffer alone so that I would never have to play the game and make other people suffer too. Yes, it is true. This game is pretty bad. It had some potential. I think that this is actually... There should be a name for this genre, which is dice chucking, not quite Yahtzee, but with cards, and very simplistic and very random. And the whole time I was playing this, no one I played with had played this other game before, but I did, and I remembered it distinctly, Hunters of Arkfall. Again, one of the very first games I backed on Kickstarter, and one of my many Kickstarter disappointments. Now, this is a little bit better than that, but it's still pretty bad. And there's a lot of issues here. Let's start with the appearance of the game. We always start with, we tend to start with components and the appearance, because that's the easy stuff. And right off the bat, it fails. The game looks ugly. The cards that you use of like the anime human characters are fine looking, but the cockroaches are still images from the show, but you can't even barely tell what it is. Like, and by the way, another reason why I think the show is probably awful, because the cockroaches look really stupid. But you can barely tell, and some of the dynamic artwork they use for the gear, the equipment that you use, also looks really bad. A couple of my cards had defects on them. You might have even have seen one of the main character cards had like these weird striations in the card. It was like that out of the box. The dice are pad printed, which means, and you can already tell a couple of them were rubbing off already, like right out of the box. It's not like we played this game 10 times. Trust me, we didn't. And it's just... It just, everything about it kind of looks ugly and cheap. Really cheap. That's the key word there. But okay, I mean, it's a little game. I wouldn't expect it to be this big, expensive thing. But still, a little bit of care and effort. I don't know, they were kind of hyping this for a long time. The other thing is that just the theme of the game doesn't make a ton... I mean, it makes sense, but it's just not there. This is very abstract in a lot of ways. You never felt like you're having this big, grandiose battle against the cockroaches, which is so silly. But okay, the game has to stand on its own. I'm not trying to slag it because of the anime too much, but there's just no connection here. Even if I had enjoyed the anime, I would like to think even if I had, I would feel pretty hollow playing this. Oh wait, that's a different anime. That's Bleach. Sorry. It's terrible anime humor. So theme, components, already off to a bad start. Actually sitting down and playing the game is even worse. Now here's the big... It's not... It seems like a nitpick at first, but it's really not. I should have showed this on camera, but all of the cards in the game, in order to get across the information about what they do, about how you activate them with the dice, how what effect they have, everything, the cards that you use, the equipment and the characters that you use, the cockroaches and their special abilities, everything is just symbols. Now, if you play the game a lot, or even by the end of the first game, some of them are intuitive and you'll just know. But that first game, and probably well into... We only got through one full game of it, I'll just tell you right now. But well into like a second or third game of it, you would still be having to look things up. And that's really annoying. Every card has a number. You have to go into the back of the rulebook and look up, what does this do? And there's only one rulebook, and you're constantly passing around. There is another sheet, like one sheet that has like a reminder of what some of the symbols do generically, but it's not easy to have that relate to the specific card that you have. So again, you're constantly passing around that rulebook. And maybe it's not a huge deal, but it's just a sign of like, okay, not a lot of thought went into this, especially since there's tons of space on the card. You could just wrote out what it does. All right, fine. But how does it actually play? Getting past that hurdle? Well, not very well. You roll the dice, you spend them to buy some cards, and then you try to deal damage to the cockroach that you're on. But then, so all that's very pedestrian stuff, nothing that earth-shattering. What makes it even more annoying, though, is that, well, first off, there's a lot of take-that cards that players can hit you with. That's dumb. And then the cockroaches themselves, a lot of them have special abilities that explicitly deny you from doing things in the game. Like, okay, while this guy's out, can't use the green die. Like, a big part of the game is being able to, is knowing when you want to spend the resources to use the green die. And again, it is not a big deal in the game. It's a very minor thing that feels like a throwaway mechanic they throw in. But okay, I have some things that let me manipulate the green die. I have cards in my hand that let me manipulate that green die. And that, as long as that guy is out there, no one can do a thing. And there's other cards like that too. While this person is out here, no one gets spoils. That's a huge part of the game, and a bad part of the game, by the way, that other players get spoils and you just get the points or something like that. And again, even that dumb thing, you might not be able to do because of one of the cockroaches out there just denies everyone it. If there was some sort of small penalty, I understand. They're the enemy. They have to be doing something, right? But for it to just have this universal effect of denying entire game mechanics that this game desperately needs. This game desperately needs something to make it interesting, and they're taking that away. It's just so weird and counterintuitive. I don't know why. It just doesn't... It's almost like they were overthinking it, which is weird because no other part of the game is overthought. So that's just weird. And again, this is all in service of the base mechanisms of the game are very pedestrian, very straightforward to a fault, and just nothing all that particularly interesting. And you're just going through the motions. It's long, it's drawn out. When we were playing our first game, we're like, wait, how many cockroaches are left in the deck? Oh, dear Lord. Because you can't end it until you go through the entire deck. And it just takes so long to take them out sometimes because you might have some turns where you just do 1 or 2 damage. And there's nothing you could do about it. This is not a Yahtzee-style dice chucker. You need to use your very limited resources to get extra rolls. And if you don't get damage, you don't get damage. That's it. So, it just felt like the game was playing against you. But it's not a cooperative game where the game is trying to kill you. It's just the game is trying desperately to not get you to do things and have fun in it. So, it's not the worst game in the world. It's just that it seemed like it had potential to be a very light and fun dice chucker and that's all it had to be. That was the bare minimum requirement, but it's just working against you at every turn. And it's just ugly as sin, too. So, again, any anime-style game, I'm more likely to lend a sympathetic, I was going to say ear to, but it doesn't make any sense, an eyeball to, and give it a chance more than I would to a traditionally, like, generic fantasy-themed game. But this one just wanted me to not like it. That is Terra Formars from Japanime Games. Cannot recommend it.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks for your support.